In the name of Almighty Allah, the Gracious and the Merciful. Dear learners, Ambareen Khalid here with a video lesson on poem 10, The Hollow Men, written by T.S.Eliot. In this video lesson, explanation of the poem will be done with a reference to the context. Synonyms of the difficult words will also be discussed along with the question answers. Dear learners, don't forget to share the video with your classmates and friends if you like it. Do subscribe to my YouTube channel, Learn English with Ambareen Khalid, and press the bell icon to get the notifications about the latest videos. So let's get started. First of all, introduction of the poet T.S. Eliot. T.S. Eliot, an American-born British poet. Born in 1888 and died in 1965. 20th century poet. His famous poems are The Wasteland, Portrait of a Lady, The Hollow Men, etc. Definition of poetry according to T.S. Eliot. T.S. Eliot says, poetry is not a turning loose of emotions, but an escape from emotions. It is not the expression of personality, but an escape from personality. But of course, only those who have personality and emotions know what it means to escape from these things. Theme of the poem. T.S. Eliot describes the pathetic and pitiable condition of the modern men living in this society. They are good for nothing, as they are totally dependent upon one another and have no opinion and personality of their own. Their voices are emotionless when they whisper even. They are not remembered as the passionate souls by the people of past who were really the men of action, but remembered, if at all, as hollow and stuffed men. Reference of the poem. These lines have been extracted from the poem The Hollow Men, written by T.S. Eliot. Learners, you will write down the reference of this poem like this. Context. In this poem, the poet criticizes the paralyzed force of the modern men who are just stuffed men. They have no vision, wisdom, opinion, or insight of their own. They are totally dependent upon one another, thus lacking any kind of individuality. Their voices are meaningless and passionless, like the rustling of wind in dry grass or the soundless skittering of rats over broken pieces of glass. Synonyms of the difficult words before we start the explanation. Hollow means worthless, stuffed, filled with something like straw, leaning, bending, headpiece, mind, straw, hay. Alas, expression to show pity or unhappiness. Dried, emotionless. Whisper, murmur. Cellar, basement. Paralyzed, disabled. Gesture, motion. Motion, action. Crossed, reached. Violent, forceful or powerful. Lines 1 to 4. We are the hollow men, we are the stuffed men, leaning together, headpiece filled with straw, alas. Explanation of these lines. In these lines, the poet criticizes the pitiable condition of the modern men. He calls them hollow and stuffed men. The poet declares himself as a part of that soulless society by using the pronoun we. Their minds are devoid of any wisdom or insight. The poet tells that they are worthless and stuffed people who have nothing worthwhile to do or show. They are mentally, spiritually, and physically paralyzed people, dependent upon one another. They have no opinion of their own as they are unable to think even for themselves. T.S. Eliot has used the word alas to lament over this pathetic condition of modern men. Lines 5 to 10. Our dried voices, when we whisper together, are quiet and meaningless, as wind in dry grass or rat's feet over broken glass in our dry cellar. Explanation. In these lines, the poet highlights the pitiable condition of the modern men. They have no courage to speak louder, as they have nothing worthwhile to say or discuss. They are without any emotion, passion, vigor, or energy. They just whisper together as they have nothing important to say. The poet has used a simile here. Comparison has been made between the dried voices of modern men and the rustling of wind in the dry grass, as well as the sound of rats' feet over the broken pieces of glass in the basement. The poet means to say that the hollow men have so dried and emotionless voices that they are not audible even. Just as the rustling of wind in dead grass and rats skittering over the broken pieces of glass in the dry cellar do not produce any sound. Comparison has been made by the poet. Lines 11 and 12. Shape without form, shade without color, paralyzed force, gesture without motion. Explanation, thematic lines. Hollow men have shapeless forms. They have bodies without zeal and zest and are unable to do anything significant in the society. They are just shadows without any spark or energy of life. They have useless and worthless force and strength, as they are not utilizing it properly. Just vague body movement without any real vigor or zeal. The poet actually is lamenting over this miserable condition of the modern society, which is good for nothing. Lines 13 to 18. Those who have crossed with direct eyes to death's other kingdom, remember us, if at all, not as lost violent souls, but only as the hollow men, the stuffed men. Explanation. In these lines, the poet says, the people who have gone to the kingdom of death were brave people. They even faced death bravely with the direct eyes and high heads. The poet also declares himself a part of that group of hollow and stuffed men by using the pronoun us. In the first place, they don't remember the modern hollow and stuffed people. The people of past don't remember the modern hollow and stuffed people in the first place. And if they remember the modern men at all, they don't remember them as powerful, energetic, angry, or forceful souls who have lost their energy now and once were men of action. But the people of past remember the modern men as hollow, empty, and stuffed men. T.S. Eliot means to say that modern men are so useless and worthless people that even they are not worth remembering by the past people who were men of action and true spirit. Artistic qualities of this poem: metaphors, similes, personification. These are the figures of speech which are being used by the poet in this poem. Metaphors. We are the hollow men, we are the stuffed men. Direct comparison has been made between the modern and hollow stuffed men, so these are the metaphors. In these lines, metaphors have been used. Simile, comparison of dried voices of the hollow men to the sound of wind in dry grass and rat's feet over broken glass. Quiet, meaningless, and dried voices of modern men have been compared with the quiet sound of wind in dry grass and rats' feet over broken glass in the cellar. Personification. T.S. Eliot personifies the hollow and stuffed men by giving them dried voices, as we know that stuffed things are unable to speak. Short questions. Question: why does the poet call modern men as hollow men? Answer: the poet calls modern men as hollow men because they are devoid of any wisdom, insight, vigor, and zeal. They are emotionless people, just dependent upon one another and have no individuality of their own. Next question is, what does the poet say in the last stanza of the poem? Answer: in the last stanza, the poet says that the people of the past were really the men of action and courage who faced death even bravely. Those people don't remember the modern men at all. And if they remember, they don't remember them as men of strength and energy, but as stuffed, hollow men. So learners, that is the end of my lesson on poem number 10, The Hollow Men. I shall see you soon for another lesson. Take care. Allah Hafiz.